All right, guys, welcome back to the Clack Shack. It's been a little while since I did an actual video. I mean, I know I've dumped a couple of shorts out there. I had a little issue with my computer. Somebody, and I don't know who it could have been because I'm the only person that uses this computer, but somebody checked the wrong box on my capture software, and it wasn't capturing audio. And so the last couple of videos I did, I actually had a segment using the computer that I was unable to use because my audio was all messed up. Well, luckily, I found my mistake. I've got it corrected, and I've got the computer back doing captures now. And the reason I'm here tonight is I put out a little bit of a teaser, and I put out a little bit of a short on a couple of jigs that I made. And today my Etsy was blowing up, my Messenger was blowing up, my email was blowing up, and everybody wanted to know when the business card jig was going to be available. So tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to give you a timeline on when it's going to be available, which hopefully will be within, by the time this video is out there, hopefully it will already be in my Etsy store. But we're going to touch on that, and I'm going to take the file, put it in the computer. In the event that you do want to purchase it, I'm going to show you the ins and outs. And for those of you that may not be familiar with my jig kit, I'm going to walk you through how it works and show you how all the pieces go together. So stick around for a few minutes, and I'm going to move over to the computer and we'll go from there. And I'm just going to show you how this design is going to work and what you'll need to do with it once you get this jig file, how you'll go about making a jig that you can use with the interchangeable kit that will ensure your burns will be where you want them every time. So stick around for just a minute and we'll get moved over to the computer. All right, guys, here we are. The first part of this burn and this file that you're looking at now is, if you look in the interchangeable jig file, this is the zip folder that you downloaded with the kit. This is the one in there that is called large jig board, and that is the one that is made to fit on a 16 by 16 piece of material. Before anybody asks, because this is the most common question I get, is what size material do you use? It's not material specific, but my personal opinion is if you're going to do jigs and you're going to do these jigs, I would at least recommend 4 to 5 millimeter material. You can use thinner material. It's not material specific. This is a two-dimensional cut. It has no requirement for any thickness of material. The interchanger bar that locks to the machine, the thicker it is, the better, because it's going to keep it from bowing or twisting or breaking. The jig panels themselves, if you cut these out of too thin of material, the risk of warpage or bowing or breaking is greater than if you use I use typically 4.5 is what I shoot for. The stuff I'm using right now is like 4.8. It's a little bit more trouble to cut, but it's pretty tough wood, so it's working out. I have to run a few more passes, but no biggie. But this is the panel that you're going to need from that kit. It's going to be the large jig board kit. Now, if you're not using my kit, if you're just buying this or using this to do your own, then you won't need this. But in order to use the jig with my interchanger kit, you're going to need to burn the jig file onto one of these. But the first step is you need to cut this board out and have it cut. And then once you get this cut, you're going to lock it into the interchanger on your machine so that you know exactly where it will be next time that you connect it to your machine to use the file. All right, the second part that you're going to need is this file here. And this is going to be the burn file for the business card jig. I had a bunch of people request that I make it to where you could do 6 business cards, and so I have. Now, right now, currently, these lines are not set to cut. This is in jig mode, basically. This is the way it will look when you start adding graphics to this thing. So what you're going to want to do when you cut this out is, I've got 2 lines right here. You can see these 2 lines. This blue square, which is the was it T2? I think it is. Why is my bar not disappearing down there? That's got my screen a little messed up. But it's the T2 line. This blue one, that line in that square box is only there for one reason, and that is when you drop a graphic in here, that is the one that you'll use to center your art file. This T1 line right here, the orange one, this line is actually the cut. When you're making this jig, you're going to want to go in here and you're going to want to change those lines to whatever your cut speed is or your cut assigned cut is. Once you cut those shapes into that jig panel that you already have attached, then you will go back in here, change those back over to tool lines so that they don't cut again, but leave them in there. And you can even go up here after you do that if you want to, and you can tell it not to show those and get those out of the way. That's why I put in play both T1 and T2. If there was a T3, I'd be using it too, but there's not. So this little thing here down at the bottom, this is for spacer inserts. And let me explain what that is to you. When you cut this file, and you're going to be cutting these two squares made together, and let me show you. Let me just turn T2 off so you can see. Those are actually just two squares, bowling together, and it makes this shape. And the purpose of this shape is to give you a place to reach up in there and pick those things up without having to, work too hard at it. You don't have to get a pick. You don't have to get I've heard people using tape, sticky stuff, whatever. You don't have to have that. You can fit your fingers. Unless you have some abnormally large fingers, you should be able to fit your fingers in this hole and get that card out with ease. Now, I will say this. If you do not drop a spacer underneath these cards and you have a honeycomb or you have a flat surface, it will make it challenging getting the cards out of there. And it also could possibly prevent you from being able to get perfectly focused, or at least close enough to do the job on the surface of the business card. Because if this is 4.5 millimeter material and you drop that card that goes all the way to the honeycomb, then you're 4.5 millimeters between the surface of the card and the top of the jig. That's why I included this little piece here. And what this little guy is, this is just an insert, and you can replicate this guy. You can like, all you got to do is select that. Let me select that, and then change it to a cut. I don't know why my bar. And then I changed this to a cut, and you can make as many of these. These don't have to be in any particular position. You can use old scrap. That's what I did. I had some round scrap and some cutouts. You can actually take the piece that come off of these if you're really skilled, and you can actually lay this over it. But if you don't want to do that, just change this to a cut line. Put them wherever you want to. Cut these guys here out of scrap. You're going to need 6 of them, but try to use a material that is maybe 1 millimeter thinner than the material that you use to cut the jig panel out of. And what that's going to do is that's going to space that card up off of the honeycomb, the thickness of this material here. So like what I'm doing is I'm using 4.8 millimeter material to cut this part of the jig right here. And then I'm using 4.5 millimeter material to cut the inserts. That gives me a difference of the 0.3 millimeters between the honeycomb and the top of this. It lets that card almost set flush with this board so that I can focus and not have to worry about hitting the jig. And it also gives me space to get my finger underneath that card to pull that thing out. So that's the purpose of doing this. You don't have to have these. These are optional, but I strongly encourage them. That's why they got this little recess right here, is that creates a gap 4.5 millimeters wide underneath that business card. And you've got this whole open area here. And so you can scoop that guy right out, no problems, but you've still got enough of a lip to hold it perfectly in position for the next engrave. So that's the way this file is set up and designed to work. Now, when you get through cutting these little pieces out, just go back over here and change that back to a T2. Or, well, no, I would change it to a T1, because T1 is the one that you're going to be hiding. So let me turn these back on here. Let me change that to a T2. So you're going to want to change that back to like a T2, because you want this stuff hid when you turn this over into a jig where you're getting ready to turn out cards. You turn this off, and everything else disappears, and all you have is your framing squares for your graphic. And what you're going to want to do when you get ready to put your graphic in is you're just going to pull that graphic over, set that graphic into here, get it to the size it needs to be for your business card, of course, always click the one that you want to move first. Do not click the box. Click the graphic that you want to move first. Then hold control, select the box. Well, let me ungroup those guys. I forgot I grouped them a while ago during the construction process. So let me ungroup these guys. You're going to select the graphic that you want to move first. Then select the box that you want to use to frame it with and hit the center. That puts that perfectly in the center of your business card. You don't have to worry. As long as you've cut the jig into a standing panel that is connected to your machine, you don't have to worry. It will be exactly there every single time. But that's how the file works, guys. Like I said, I've got a couple of instances of Lightburn running, and if you didn't notice my video the other day, I have found that you can run multiple machines on Lightburn. Let me move this up here and I'll show you. I could actually go over here and select my atom stack. Now, when I select the atom stack, I have learned that it reverses everything. So if I'm building the file for atom stack, I have to build it out in atom stack, or either I got to play musical flip with that thing. But if I'm building it for X tool, I select my X tool. That way my work area and everything is true to the machine. And when I save these files in Lightburn, these are being saved in the format of an Xtool D1. So the workspace parameters and everything should be, if you have an Xtool D1, you should be able to open this file on your Lightburn software and go with it. For those of you that maybe you don't want a 6, like you decide, you know what, 6 is too many, I want a 3. Instead of doing a 3 and a 6, I just did a 6. If you decide that you don't want but 3 of them, all you got to do when you go to cut this is only select the cut line on 3 of them. That's all you got to do. So you would just go through here, and to cut the jig out, you would select the orange line, the T2 line or T1 line on all 3 of these, and then go down here, change it to a cut, and you can even hide these other frames to get them off the screen so it doesn't confuse you if you'd like. And that's the cut for a 3-card jig right there. And then, of course, you're going to want to go back. After that cuts, you're going to want to go back and cut this little card insert right here to space them up. Unless you decide you don't want to use that. I mean, if you're only using like 1 millimeter thin material, then you may not need that little insert. But if you need the insert to space them up like I did, then that's what that's for. Now, I don't have a 6 cut yet because I don't do that many business cards. I built this out and I did the 6 because a couple of people requested that when I do it, make it a 6. And like I said, if you don't want it to be a 6, you can either burn it you can burn it like I just showed you, or you can just delete some of them. But I'm going to turn these 3 right here. Let me turn the T2 off. Get it out of the way so I don't mess it up. Go back through here, control, and I'm going to turn those back to a T1. All right, then we'll turn the T2 back on. So, like I said, when you get ready to do the burn, you're going to want to turn off the tool line, leave the T2, because T2 is going to be, that's showing you where your cards are going to be, and that's what you use to get your graphic, your text, whatever in the center, is you use that T2 line. The T1 is basically, I disabled the cut that way. That way you don't have to have 2 files. You don't have to have a cut file and then a jig file. It's 1 file. My recommendation too, for any of you buying any of my files, when you download it, it's going to be in a zip file. Keep that zip file on your computer and extract the files from it, but keep that zip file. That way, if something happens that you're in here working and you accidentally move something, you don't got to go back out to Etsy and re-download the zip file. You've already got it. You just dump the one you've got, get you a fresh copy out of the zip file, and you're right back to like brand new. So that's how my jigs work. All my jigs work this way. I've gotten a little more streamlined with using the tool marks, the tool lines recently. But if you take this, basically what you're going to end up with, let me Let me large jig board. Basically, what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with a piece that's going to look like that. And for those of you overachievers, if you really want to get, you know, excessive with it, we could even fit 9 of them on here, and I guess I could go ahead and make it a 9 before I put it out there. So I'll probably go ahead and expand this thing to 9. If you only want 3, make a 3. If you want 6, make a 6. If you want 9, make a 9. Because the large jig panel has enough real estate to do it, and I don't believe in wasting space. I mean, heck, I might can even slide these things together. Let me look here, guys. I'm doing a little configuration. Turn that frame off. Now, I'm only going to be able to put one more line of them on there, so I'm going to show you guys a little insight into the clack shack here. I'm going to replicate that over. This is why I had them all grouped, because when I'm doing this, some of you that have watched my channel enough know, but I am slightly OCD, and things not being in straight lines bothers me. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click which one? The one that I want to move first. Then I'm going to click the other one, and I'm going to line those guys up. Man, I almost got it perfect without it. That's good. I'm going to ungroup those so that nobody runs into trouble when they're trying to change the cut lines. So there you have it, guys. That easy. The jig panel is now a 9 card, and I apologize. I didn't know that it would fit, but it apparently will now that I've overlaid it. So there you have it. That's going to be the jig file right there. That's for 9 business cards. You can have the inserts if you so choose, or you can have it without the inserts if you so choose. Now, let me move this one file here is not going to be in there, and I hate to do it to you guys, but if you want the teeth to lock it to your machine, you're going to need to get the Interchanger Jig. And for those of you that don't know, there it is right here, guys. This is where you go to get it. That's my Etsy store. And the Interchanger kit is this one here. It comes with several different panels. It comes with the old style rotary. Oh, while I'm here and while I'm talking to you guys, it comes with a square and jig. It comes with the short one, a medium. It comes with a short, medium, and a large. I just showed you the large. But while I am here, let me go ahead and throw this out there, guys. This is a little cheap. I do not have the new rotary, okay? I don't have it. I don't really have a need for it. I haven't wanted to spend the money on it. I'm just stingy like that. I'm on a budget. So I don't have the new rotary. But if you have the new rotary and you thought about using this and you don't know how, and the reason I'm bringing this up, I've had probably 20 people message me. You can still cut one of these large panels, just like the one that this rotary is sitting in right here. And you can put anything you want on here. My recommended method of attachment, if you don't want to try to figure out how to cut a relief for it, go to Walmart, Dollar General, the Dollar Tree, wherever, and 3M makes these Velcro command strips. You can take those 3M Velcro command strips and stick them to the bottom of this rotary or any other rotary that you have. Stick them to the bottom of it. Make sure that they're all at the same level. You don't want to have one like really, really low and one on a tip. Make sure that wherever it sits on the table, those places touch the ground. And put those 3M command strips, the Velcro ones, on there. I mean, you could use the permanent ones if you'd like, but the Velcro, to me, especially from looking at that new rotary, it has multiple pieces. But you can take that Velcro and take those little Velcro strips and put them on there, and you can Velcro those guys anywhere on this board you want to with that 3M command strips. And then when you're not using the panel, you just lift it, unvelcro it, and set it to the side. I would probably put the fuzzy part of the Velcro on the bottom of the device just to keep from mashing it so much, and it would kind of serve as like a little felt pad when you set it on the table if you don't use the jig. But just a tip that I've told a lot of people about it because they reached out to me about the RA2 rotary, and hey, how come you don't have a plate for it? And the plain and simple is, guys, I'm cheap. I haven't bought one. I don't have a need to justify the expense, and so I don't have it to go by to create a file. But the command strips, like I said, if you want to, no matter what it is, some of you guys, I know you have your own little spacers, you got your Legos or whatever, you can command strip Velcro anything you want to these plates, and it will be in the same spot anytime you clamp this jig into that interchanger locking panel there. It will be in the same spot every time, and that is how you get consistent, save time on your setup. Because like right now, guys, I got 100 of these little boxes that I built on order, and I need something that I can be consistent, I can be quick, and takes the guesswork out, and that's why I create my files. So anyway, I'm going to switch back over to the other camera so that y'all ain't got to look at me in this little box down here just for a few seconds, and I'm going to show you the 3 panel that I have already created. I've got it burned. Like I said, you can have a 9, you can have a 6, you can have a 3, or you can just do a 1. It doesn't matter to me. However you feel that you need to do it. But I have built the file out to where it will work with a 9, and you can go from there and create your own whatever you want. I also have a dog tag jig in the making. I haven't moved it over to the X tool. I made it for the Atom stack, but we'll get into that in just a minute. So stick around, let me swap computers, and I'll be right back.
All right, guys. I just wanted to show you this. This is a smaller version, and I was trying to find some work for the Atom stack to do. I had some dog tags that I was wanting to do a design on, and I have, as you can see, created myself an interchangeable locking jig for the Atom stack. I've got some tweaks I got to do to it. I'm not happy with everything about it, but eventually, hopefully, I'll work the bugs out of it. I did make my Atom stack a little bed here to use with a piece of metal that came with my honeycomb that I didn't need for X tool. But this one works the same way as the other one. This jig, and I did this one a little differently because this is a small jig, so I put me a little Sharpie mark here, like a timing mark, so that I know every time. Like if you want to do these little small panels like this for small stuff, you can also do that. All you've got to do is make one of these files and then put it on your laser and cut it into small squares. That's not a problem. But I can actually put this one in multiple places on this machine. But this is the same philosophy. I've got a thicker material. I made the jig out of a thicker material, and then I've got thinner material inserts, and that creates a little bit of a recess in here to hold the cards. Now, if this was my final jig, I would probably glue those in, but it's not. This is still kind of a work in progress. So right now, those are just kind of sitting in there. But I'm going to move you over to the table and show you the one that I have built for my X tool. All right, guys, this is the 3 card model, and to be honest with you, the reason I went ahead and burned a 3 card model was I needed to check my measurements. I've gotten to where I get it right the first time, and I have got an ant epidemic going on in here today, guys. I'm telling you, between animals and bugs, I don't know what I'm going to do out here. But I did a 3 because I already had this panel like ready to go. It was already cut. All I had to do was make these cuts in it and then put me a little text on here, and I cut these inserts. And these are the inserts that allows me to sit the business card in there, and there's maybe a 1 millimeter, almost a 1 millimeter gap that it creates a lip in there so that you can put those cards in there. And let me get my cards and I'll show you how it works. So this is a pack of cards, and I'll show you the dog tags, but I got these on Amazon. They were the cheapest thing I could find because, like I said, a budget here, guys. These are anodized aluminum cards, and they have the thickness of a Coke can. But the way it works is they go in there. You just set those guys in there. And when you set them down, they fit in that hole. That little piece right there is not wanting to sit down all the way. That wood's a little thicker than it should be, I think. But you set those into the card hole. and they don't move. That is the purpose of this jig. When you set those in there, it is tight. Like if you press those in, they're not going to move. I mean, you can try to push them out, you can try to move them, they're not going to move. And with this particular jig, there's not a lot of room in between the card and the base, but it's enough that it's down below the surface of the wood. And then once these burn, you can just reach in here and pull that guy straight out. You don't have to get tape. You don't have to try to find any sticky stuff. And now I will tell you, I did the tolerances really, really tight on this. Some of these cards, especially if you buy the cheaper ones, just know there may be a little deviation in some of these cards. These things aren't as, they're not exactly, I mean, they're the cheapest thing that you can find, so they're not all going to be exactly the same size. But that makes them sit in there, keeps them from moving. And then you'll burn that. And of course, this connects to your interchanger. And see if I got an interchanger laying around here I'm not using. Actually, I think I gave away my last interchanger, guys. So yeah, I don't have an interchanger that's not currently being used that I can show you this. But the ones of you that know my design knows that the interchanger attaches here and has holes for the legs. So, and if you don't know what that is, look up on my channel. Just look up Interchanger Jig on my channel, and there's a video that will show you exactly what it is, what it looks like, how it's made, where to get it, all that good stuff. But that's the design, guys. I mean, it's simple, it's easy. It makes making these cards a breeze. And I did, like I said, these are the cards that I built this thing for. I can give you the exact measurements, but I mean, I'm assuming they are standard business cards, and I will include these cards. I'll drop a description. I'll drop a link in the description for these cards, because these are the cards that this was built to work with. And I think this pack of 100 right here cost me like 10 bucks. So that's maybe like 10 cents a piece. And I've burned one. It's really cool. It burns off the coating. I think it's anodized, if I'm not mistaken. It's either anodized or powder coated. But when you burn that off, you do have to clean it just like you do with the tumbler to get the material to shine. And then once you do that, it reveals that silver material underneath there, and it makes for a really cool looking card. So, but that's what it looks like, guys. But the one that you'll be downloading will make it capable of making 9 instead of just the 3. So that's the only difference. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. And for those of you that were messaging me and hit me up on Etsy, I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. I will make sure to put the file on there before this video goes out. So the ones of you that kind of follow my Etsy store, you're probably going to get a little bit of head start, and you'll probably have the files before the video is finished, because usually my videos will go out 7 o'clock in the morning, because by the time I get in the house, I mean, it's like 9:30 here now, so by the time I get in the house, edit the video, zip the file, upload it to Etsy, all that, it'll probably be late. And then I got to wait on YouTube to finish doing their thing before it'll publish. So you're looking at probably 7 o'clock in the morning of the 16th. This video should be out, and the file should be in my Etsy store already. I want to remind you, if you want to use the interchangeable kit, you're going to need to make sure you either already have the interchanger kit, or you can purchase it with the jig panel. I keep my jig panel separate because I don't want to blow up the price of the interchangeable jig, because there are people that use it to make their own jigs. But if you like my jigs and you want to just buy mine instead of going through the trouble of making your own, then you can just buy that additional file, and it doesn't inflate the price of my original interchanger kit. So I appreciate your time, guys, and I'm telling you, I appreciate the support everybody showed for the channel. I'm getting some pretty good feedback. I don't understand it, guys. I just like sharing. I like trying to help other folks, and but it is good to see that, you know, I'm making a little bit of money off of the Etsy and all that. And the growth that the channel has seen is just astronomical. I can't believe it. But I appreciate that. But if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, because I'm trying to see what kind of records I can set here. So far, it's been really great, but I done got hooked on it now, guys. I want to make it bigger and better. So hit the subscribe button if you hadn't already, and go check out my Etsy store, guys. If you like some of the stuff that's in there, let me know. If there's something that's not in my Etsy store that you think that would benefit everybody, feel free to shoot me a message. I mean, that's what I'm here for, guys. I want to, you know, I know there's guys out there that want things and maybe they don't know how to make it. And if I can make the file and sell just enough to give me a little bit of money for my time, I'm cool with that. It doesn't have to be a blockbuster. So shoot me a message if you got something that you think would be cool to have. So, but appreciate you coming. And as always, guys, be careful and have a good day.